Hello, Athletics LLC land.
I
Back from
legitimately
break.
almost fell asleep just then.
That was one of the most bland openings of our
I
show.
know. It is because it's
It's January 8th.
exactly, it's the return to it's now downhill.
No, you got
It
to
is
keep
now
the
downhill.
same energy. That's why I'm
No,
same energy today.
no. This is
Oh,
look,
Lord.
you can already see it on all of our faces.
Listen,
We're
yeah,
already growing old by the moment.
as the coach on this show of the coaches, I need you to buck up. It is your job to inspire the youth of America and
The
Africa,
Ute,
according to the internet.
the Ute. So, um, week 1 of January, and it's January. So let's see how everybody else is doing. Same energy, has the same energy.
Absolutely. I don't know about y'all, but I am fired up. We've gotten basically to the point in time of the season where everybody in my group is ready to go do something else. They are tired of just training and looking at my face. So,
Yeah, basically. Governor, how are you today, sir?
Um, I'm okay. We are just waiting to see the carnage that's going to get off these respective flights and get out of respective cars. And, we're
Yeah,
lining up next weekend, and not this weekend, next weekend. So, we'll see.
Clyde, how about yourself, sir?
Well, we leave tomorrow for a competition that
Number two, huh?
it's technically number 2 since we did
Yeah.
the December meet. Um, all evidence is that nobody did anything over winter break.
love it.
Oof.
But as I told the youngins earlier, that's a you decision.
Yeah.
We gonna find out. So
Tell them y'all have effed around, and now we all gonna find out.
indeed. Indeed. I do appreciate the very few that had the guts to just own their mistake in advance. You got, there's always a few that's gonna die with the lie, right? Like just hold on. The plane is gonna take off. Don't worry about it. And other than that, y'all are getting buried under winter wonderland, and half of SoCal is on fire.
Yeah.
So, you
Yo,
know,
that's crazy. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
but in positive news, it looks like we're going to be taking over Canada,
And
Okay.
the Panama Canal
the Panama Canal, of course.
and Greenland
Yes,
simultaneously.
all
When
together.
I saw the tweet, they had a poll like, how would you feel about Canada being the 51st state? I was ashamed to say that I laughed.
Oh no, not to mention the Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America, yes.
Yes,
Gulf of America is actually my favorite one.
yes, yes. Somebody needs to take a true and utter snapshot, like right now, like this, like from somewhere between December 31st that just passed and January 7th. Take a snapshot, and then we need to compare that each year on the anniversary. Because I promise you, good, bad, or different. Look, I'm not Nostradamus, so I can't predict it, but I can tell you this: 4 years from now, we ain't gonna look the same. I do know that the United States is not going to look the same 4 years from now.
Oh man.
Woo. Listen, I tell
Oh
y'all
boy.
real quick before we get going on the show. Life forced me to fly to Washington D.C. this on January 2nd, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough on January 5th. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Like, got to go. Cannot be here when the orange man takes over.
Touche.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and let the debacle. So eloquently, our EP asked us a question, and perspective is what it is, and it's great. And I think this is something that we can all share as from a part of our quote unquote philosophies. So knowing that this is an opening weekend, um, you know, what are our expectations from our groups uh, going into your first competitions or
So
goals?
so since
Expectations or
I
goals?
since I already kind of almost started that on accident, I'll just go. It's really very simple. And I said this to the crew in a nutshell, this evening in our pre-travel meeting. I expect maximum effort, and I hope that everybody comes home unbothered, uninjured. Because the fact of the matter is, you can you can plan and you can send out intricate, spreadsheets of whatever, and the 18 to 21-year-olds are going to do what they're going to do at home. Hey, in some cases, you could have kids who live in the city in which your school is in that you never see during winter break,
Happens all the time.
from during winter break, and magically come back injured. Couldn't explain that one to you, you know? So I legitimately, I talked to them this evening. I want maximum effort in everything you do. Traveling is a privilege at this moment. There are people on your team that are not here early. There are people who were not invited back early. Take advantage of the privilege that you have, or you're going to lose it. And that's just what it is. Now, once we get there, I promise you, every time a gun goes off, I'm going to be like,
Yeah,
just, just show,
holding my breath.
just holding my breath and seeing where we are. I know where we were before we left. I am hoping to be even. I'm hoping to start on par with where we were at the middle of December, or beginning of December, I should say, in our case.
I think there are so many differences between our sport and others, but I think that's the biggest one at the collegiate level.
Oh yeah.
The way that college coaches are forced to manage breaks is just way different than any. Most sports don't even cover breaks, but the ones that do, they're not asked to do what we're asked to do, right? Like in our sport, we have to cover Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, and spring break.
It's true.
Yeah, it's a broken record at this point. And those of us, I mean, all of us go through the same spin cycle over and over and over again. Some years are better than others. Uh, Sometimes you might have a leader within the group that convinces more than half the group to stay back and or come back early because we need to get these reps in. I think, you know, as a professional athlete, explaining to a young man or a young lady that December was not a holiday as a pro.
No,
December was by far one of the most intensive months of preparation.
Foundational.
Because if I'm going to line up 1 month later, I better be doing things at a very, very high intensity. I need to be doing things almost it's my dress rehearsal before I line up. If I have any designs to go over to Europe to compete, I better be ready to race once January hits. And I mean, no matter how many times, how many years go by, we have the same conversation from the summer to the fall, and we're telling them exactly what's going to happen. And as soon as we get to that point where Thanksgiving comes around and you see this start to happen, and they come back from Thanksgiving break and they have one more week, and you're trying to get their attention that week, but no, they've got finals coming up. They've got all these things that are taking away. And then as soon as that last final is handed in, they're gone. And we as coaches have to sit back and go, all right, I'll see you when you get back. Here's your training cycle. You know, for me personally, I keep things as vanilla as I possibly can. I'm not trying to have anyone going into Gold's Gym or whatever and doing anything crazy, you know, but get the reps in.
Mhm.
You know, give me some consistency, right? And that's all I ask, you know. So you have the wide range of those that, you know, one day turns into 2 days and turns into 2 weeks. You know, they come back and they've barely done anything, and you can tell immediately because they can't get through the warm-up. All the way to the ones that have their personal coaches who can't wait to get their hands on them, and they're coming back broken. And you're like,
bro, what happened?
what happened?
What do you mean?
What happened was the club coach watched you warm up and was like, "What you been doing? Oh, y'all
Yeah,
ain't been putting in no work. Don't worry,
exactly.
we'll get you right."
Exactly. The parents, the armchair coaches. I mean, it's a smorgasbord. And as a coach that understands that we have a very short season ahead, 6 weeks, and we're done pretty much for the majority of the individuals, you're just watching things and you're ready to respond based on what you see. I'm not going to my blood pressure is not going to go up. I'm not going to lose my focus or anything like that. Some of my best athletes have come back and I'm looking at them and I'm like, we're probably not lining up until conference.
Mhm.
How about that?
Hmm.
Eek.
And it is what it is. So keeping yourself sane while, you know, enjoying the madness. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I guess I'm big league. Are you going to go, or do you? Because I think my perspective is going to be completely different from you guys. So I can go now, and we can finish with you if that works for you.
That's fine.
Um, I obviously used to be in that same boat. But what's interesting is in the pro realm is you see all, first of all, you don't have to worry about breaks, because if I have to have conversations with you about working out while you're gone from me, well, then we don't really need to be concerned with you being a pro now, do we?
Mm-hmm.
But the more interesting thing is that what you see happen with the pro groups is just the natural elevation of things in practice, because we compete so much less than in college, that when you go to a meet, like, it's supposed to be like the soft opening for the restaurant. Like, we're supposed to pretty much be there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we do like a just in case meet. So we're going to go to this meet, and maybe we haven't had enough block starts yet, or maybe the long jump rhythm is not quite there, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. So we do that, but then like for our group, we'll probably do something, and then a major heptathlon, be it either
See,
one in Europe or U.S. championships.
you've just hit the nail on the head there. The fundamental difference between, I mean, and it doesn't matter if you're a multi-eventer, pole vaulter, jumper, whatever. Like, as a coach, to be able to tell a young man or young woman that has expectations that are way up here, that all right, we may go from short approach on your first meet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, but that's gonna suck. Yeah, okay. But maybe you're not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you the flat out truth. And we can have a very serious discussion about your commitment to the sport, or we can go have some fun. We can go get some reps in and build off that. And the amount
Yeah.
of times you're saying, hey, give me a starting point. Just give me something so that I know that we're at.
Mhm.
And keep that pride or whatever those expectations were while you were doing nothing for half of December. Take all that out of it
Yeah.
and let's give me a starting point. And that's what you, same energy. That's an easy conversation because
For sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
It's actually it's a non-conversation,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
we discuss insane mind and body during the fall at some point, what the schedule will be for the year. And then the basic conversation is, afford yourself accordingly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like don't drink, don't smoke, don't do too many of any of those other things, because we don't have pop quizzes, we have tests at the pro level.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when you don't see it in training, what a lot of these young people don't understand is, like, when you don't see it in training as a pro, you might not be able to go to the meet
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
because you can't go and lay down bad meats.
Right. Right.
Sponsors and other meat promoters are not a fan of that. So they're not going to pay for that experiment more
That's
than
a
once.
phone call you never want to get.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Hey, is everything all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Which lie do you tell? No, that it's not, or yes, that it is. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Goals and expectations. The goal is to show them that they've laid a foundation, hopefully fundamentally well, and just execute. The goal is to show them that they are where they left off in the spring and to just trust and go forward. So I am blessed. I have a group that does do their job. I'm in a group that over the break, they actually benefit because they go home to their home vault clubs and whatnot and get some reps in there and whatnot. So it's actually a little more stressful when they come back because I knew they were vaulting when they were at home.
Mm-hmm.
So the high jumper is the same. So but the expectation and the goals is to not worry about the mark and just let the things happen. And this is just a fancy practice. Literally, like we were supposed to lift travel this weekend. They were going to lift the day before. Like
Mhm.
that's just how it goes, and I don't let them feel good. And they know that. And the goal is to understand the process. Yeah, it's an expensive practice. I've coined that since San Francisco.
Yeah. We try to help our viewers when we can. If you are a coach and this is stressing you out, especially it really doesn't matter the event, but like give them one thing
Mm-hmm.
to
To focus
accomplish
on.
correctly.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, like, if a perfect race looks like this, damn it, I want you to accomplish this thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they can do that much at this particular weekend,
Yeah.
then live with it and
Mhm.
be happy.
Yeah.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think
And
controlling
only
the
talk
narrative
about
is,
that.
yeah,
Only talk about
exactly.
that.
Controlling the
Mhm.
narrative and controlling what success looks like is like so important, because perspective can tank a kid's season as much as anything.
Absolutely.
You got a young lady who's a 22-footer. She thinks she's going to open up at 21:10, and you're just like, let's get on the board 3 times. And if you jump
Yeah.
over 20 feet, that would be spectacular opening.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So she jumps 20'9" and you are over the moon and she's looking for sharp objects. Right. And you're just
Yes.
like, because y'all didn't have the conversation so that you could go in and come out of the meet the same. So that was well put, KOP.
Yep.
I do what I can.
I'm sorry, let me be specific about what I just said. When I said starting off where we left off in regards to executing, I didn't mean marks wise.
Yes,
I just
I
kind of
got you.
heard what I said in my head. I know you all understood, but the audience may not have. I
Okay.
didn't finish that thought. So anyhow, yeah, I mean, it's just fun to get him back and get the season going at the end of the day. The goal is to come back not sick. That's what the goal is.
Oh, man.
Or the goal is not to bring everything back with you and get everybody else sick.
Yeah,
Ugh,
we got some of those.
Yeah.
but you didn't let me come to practice. Yeah, I am negligent if I let you come back to practice.
Yep.
All right. So, tactical question. With the increase in finances and we'll call it support in college athletics, do we think that the position of a GM should be added to each staff or a GM adjacent?
I'll jump in there first as the guy that deals with the financial part of sports, I think, a little bit more. I think if schools were actually thinking with forethought, there would at the very least be a general manager for football, a general manager for both basketballs, and then a general manager this is the very least, and then a general manager for the Olympic sports. Because part of the issue I personally think that happens is the finances and emotion get attached to each other, right? You recruited these kids, you've met their parents, all these other wonderful things. And so sometimes you end up having to detach from yourself to make prudent financial decisions as it pertains to kids and their finances and such. But if you had somebody whose only job it was to manage the money, the scholarship money, the per diem money, what meets, like the finances to go to track meets, and well, you can take 27 bodies. I don't care what their names are, but that's how many you can take. I think if that happened, that would eliminate and alleviate a great number of stressful moments and pitfalls in college coaches' lives, college track coaches' lives. And I think, as you know, as the song says, more money, more problems. I think there's going to be a fair amount of that going forward. Just my own personal opinion. And so I brought the question up because I thought it all kind of stemmed from all of the attention that was given to Bill Belichick and him going to North Carolina. And the fact that one of the new positions that is being created is literally named general manager. And it just makes sense, right? Like, so much of what's going on in collegiate athletics, and these kids are getting more money, these things are becoming transactional. This is becoming semi-professional sports, right? Well, there's a GM on every minor league baseball team, right? I mean, there's a GM on every UFL team. So even if you're not at the very, very top, I still think there should be, it can't hurt. Again, just the word according to me, I don't think it could possibly hurt having somebody whose primary function is just to manage the finances and not even really deal with the people.
I would agree. Short answer is yes. And in a world, if you're in a position where you can have a fully functional staff, the addition of a GM would probably be smart business and a really good idea. Especially if the GM had, to put it loosely, decision-making authority, if you will.
Over the budget, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not just over the budget, but what we're really talking about is are we really going to spend XXX on player ABC?
Mm-hmm.
If it's that person's job as a true GM would be to make those decisions and take it out of the hands of the coaches, I think that ultimately that's probably a cleaner, smarter way of doing it. Now, of course, every coach in the world is like, no, I want my, I want to buy my groceries, right? That's the, the belt.
Mhm.
So I get how it would cut either way. But no, I would love to live in a world where I had a fully functional staff and the money available scholarship wise to have the governor be my GM of talent for my team. That would be awesome because I would need somebody with the governor's character to do that job.
Um, I I definitely believe that we are now in that era now where a GM is very important. A GM is because I think now that money is involved, I think the strategy of putting together a roster has changed. I think the mentality that you have to have as a coach, um, if you're playing in this realm, then it is far more cutthroat. It is far more um, far more business over, there's less and less friendships and that sort of thing. It's more and more, hey, we are paying you for a service and this is what we expect of you, right?
Yeah. I mean, these kids definitely see it as transactions, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do. And it's based on what we've seen the last couple of years, I mean, and it just as quickly can go the other way if they so decide to take you out. And that's the part that is super scary. Um, so it there is an adjustment that we all are going to have. But to have someone who just deals with that, so that if that kid X comes to you and says, "Hey, I didn't get my no 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 no, mm-mm. Go over there."
Go down the hall.
Right. The
Mhm.
kid
Not
comes to
me.
you and says, I feel like I deserve a
Oh boy.
scholarship increase."
Oh boy.
Right. You
Mm.
go 2 doors down and see Chad.
Exactly.
Chad has his rubric out.
Yep.
Okay, KST, you jumped
Hmm.
such and such this year.
That's right.
You did such and such at the indoor conference meet. You did such and such at the indoor national meet.
Hmm.
You were a little less functional outdoors. You didn't have as good outdoors as in. You rebounded, had a good conference meet. Really bad first round, and you didn't make the final. Based on my math, the going rate for long jumpers of your ilk, you're actually being paid 3% too much. University won't let me take that money, but yeah, no, you have not qualified for a raise. Next,
Do you hear what you just said? Do
yes,
you understand that the NCAA could have
yes,
a ranking system or
yes.
something similar that says
Sounds like my year meetings.
this is your worth?
Mhm.
This is what
Look,
we think you're
yes,
worth. Oh man.
A
because
standardized
here's the
Oh
scale.
my
reality.
goodness
At this
gracious.
point in time, I've seen this happen in baseball, right? There is a going rate for things,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 100%.
right? Now that there's money attached to these people, right? There is an industry standard and a going rate for things. And there's a going rate for things in the SEC, a going rate for things in the ACC, a going rate for things in the Mountain West, right? You can't be asking me for SEC money when you're doing Mountain West things.
Man.
And if you would like to go be part of the SEC, feel free. Just know that your marks are commensurate with this level of pay in the SEC. So don't be calling Florida expecting to get a full. I mean, I'm sure at some point in time it's coming to that.
It is a natural flow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to hear Big League's thoughts on this.
I mean, I think, do I want a GM? Yes. Because like you've all said, like there's a non-emotional part. You don't feel slighted if you don't get the money. You don't feel elated or overjoyed or like bought in because it is your slot, right? But I do think the landscape is a little bit different so that we can't be in that rubric. Because our tides have changed too much, too often, too fast.
There has been
So,
a tremendous amount of change very, very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And so I go back to the idea, the overpaying of distance runners. And we all say we hate it,
Uh-oh.
and we all say it's stupid, but everyone does it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, we're sitting here and we're talking about how much scholarship money, or money, just not even scholarship money, money at this point, 403,
Men's miler.
yeah, sorry, I got lost in my thought. Men's miler is worth at this point. And you get lost in well, that's not horrible. And you have to remember what seat you're in and what opponents you're going to go against at conference and what opponents you're going to go against at this place. And then can they be in? Can they be out? Can they be cross? And so that's why like there is a human factor to it. So do I want the GM position? Yes, because that's where we start. But then the communication and the exchange of it is where it's hard to have that hold. But as a whole, as a staff and as a person on a staff of people who are fighting for all the same wallet, I think that's where, it's something that I learned in my 30s and I've carried it into the 40s and trying to educate others on it for those who I mentor, is never to take things personal. If you don't take it personal, then you just, like you said, it's a transaction, right? The
Listen,
actual value is the
2025
value.
is choose year. She's just dropping nuggets on folks. Collect
Yeah.
more stones than you throw. Don't take it personal. I'm just going to tune in every week with my notepad. Write down this week's chewism.
Right? Like we all want the same thing. Obviously, we want to get the best athlete that we can get, knowing that they can produce for the best bang for the buck, knowing that we want to overpay a little bit to secure them, but we can't. And so sometimes those are blessings in disguise. If they weren't willing to buy into it, then what else are they not going to willing to be buy into? But sometimes you do have to give the extra initiative because other people are buying love no matter what. So, anyways, that was a very extended answer. Sorry.
I know this. If I were to go back into college coaching as a head coach, I can tell you that I would have a fair number of accountability conversations with my coaches. Like, the whole store, the whole store's assets equals 100%. You have 33% of the business's assets in your group.
30% of them points better be coming.
At the very least, what we do at any scoring opportunity, at least 33% of the points we score had better come from your group, or just know it's not about me being angry. It's that you're underachieving. It has nothing to do with any angst, right? You can't blame the kids because I pay you.
Right. Well, and I think the last part of it, of kind of back on the path I was on, was if you don't get that money and that money goes to another person, another athlete, another group, whatever it might be, that was the reason right then and there, and let it go.
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to pour into that athlete now, because that athlete needs to make sure that you get your bonus. Now it's not your athlete. Now it's that athlete. And that athlete's on the roster, and that athlete's taking that money, and that athlete needs to get your attention when needed, because their success is your success. And so that's the outer skirt of the not take it personal. You don't want them to do bad.
I like math decisions. Math is always good.
Mm-hmm.
That is the one thing I for sure have always loved about math. It's unemotional. 2 and 2 is 4, whether I like it or not.
Mm-hmm. All right. Continuing on this, I guess we're basically on a philosophical wave at this point. What is a great recruiter versus a great coach? Because we all know they are not the same. And if you think, you better keep listening.
Oh,
I will say this. Both are highly specialized skill sets. There are I would probably argue that there are more high quality coaches in our game than there are high quality recruiters. The 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 social skills that you have to be an elite recruiter, especially in this current landscape, are skills that just a lot of people are uncomfortable with
Mm-hmm.
in their everyday existence as human beings. Man, women, doesn't matter. It's no different in a lot of cases. Think back to the time in your life where you were most outside, as the kids like to say these days.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that were socially awkward. Those people exist in the coaching space. They're not great recruiters. It's the people who can connect with people easily, that are not intimidated by different environments, that can speak different languages, literally and socially, and that have, for lack of a better word, from the place I grew up in the Bay Area, mouthpiece. Either you have those kind of skills or you don't. And you can't fake them, because, oh my God, is that so blatantly obvious when you're doing too much or trying too hard in the
Painful.
recruiting space. Oh, it's cringeworthy. And so in so for the very few people that have those kind of skills in the recruiting space, I would say very few of them have a resume that says that they're elite coaches. And for me, it's not about how gifted of human beings you can convince to come to your campus and keep them there. That's one thing. It's the rate of development. Do all your kids get better? Do the majority of your kids get better? How long does it take them to get better? Is there a, you know, do you only work well with the really, really gifted ones, and the ones that nobody really wants, are they struggling, or is it vice versa? Like taking a female sprinter from 12.5 to 11.0 is a lot harder than taking a girl from 11.2 to 11.0, right? But the brands and labels and the mouthpiece might get you the blue chips,
mm-hmm.
right? So for me, I consider the difference between those two people your ability to develop athletes. And, that's just kind of where I sit with that.
I mean, I'm of the mindset that an elite recruiter has a completely different set of skills than an elite coach. an elite coach must have the ability to find that thing, or to find that or be able to find whatever those buttons are, to learn about an individual and say, okay, you want to go from here to here, okay? And I am going to have to pull that out of you, right? I'm going to have to find that thing that gets your heart rate going. And, you know, there's a constant ebb and flow. And so there's this tug of war that's going on at the track every single day. You're reading body language. You are, you know, listening for those trigger words. You are watching the demeanor of that kid, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to get out of this kid today? Right? You are patient with your words. You know when to step in and go, dude, this ain't it. We've got to switch directions real quick, right? You've got to know when to be forceful. You've got to know when to back off. Okay. An elite recruiter is someone that, first of all, is okay with hearing no a lot. Okay.
Mhm.
And as Chu put it, doesn't take that personal.
No, doesn't take it personal.
Just
It's
part of the game.
It's part of the game. Okay. At the same time, an elite recruiter has to be able to survey the landscape and say, this kid is all on board, but is this kid a fit?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right? So no means no, but sometimes yes means no.
Mhm.
Right? An elite recruiter has the ability to read between the lines, and an elite recruiter is able to, look at an 11-7 kid and go, okay, what are the circumstances that led to that kid running that time? Did that kid have adequate weather? Did that kid's season last 4 weeks or 4 months? Right? You're being able to, and what does this kid do on a daily basis to get to practice?
Yep.
How committed is this kid to his or her craft? Right? And lastly, I would say an elite recruiter is able to understand body movement and understand, okay, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something that was quite amazing, and I blinked and it was gone. Right? And an elite recruiter is able to go, I need to know who ran second leg on that 4x1 at Texas Relays.
Right. And then go find them.
And then go find them.
And their parents.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's all encompassing, and if that elite recruiter has a latitude to then go ahead and sign that kid, that elite recruiter has to be brave enough to say, I trust my eye. I trust what I just saw, and I'm going with that. No one else in this arena saw what I just saw, but I can work with that kid.
Yeah. It's funny, we were talking about GMs, and I think, to use kind of a football analogy, I think elite great recruiters are general managers who assemble the roster.
Mm-hmm.
They find, as Mouse once called me, you be a mole, you find people where nobody else can find people. You
Mm-hmm.
find those kids that nobody is expecting to be great, and then they show up and they're like, where'd you get that kid? That's like if you're a recruiter, that's one of the biggest pats you'll ever get on the back, when somebody says, where'd you find that one?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know everybody's trying to find great kids, right? So when you find one that others didn't, you feel good about that.
Yeah.
So I think the elite recruiters they assemble the roster with 5 stars as well as 5 stars who are currently masquerading as 3 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the occasional 3-star who thinks like a 5-star, but you need to have that kid because they got some ish to them or they got some glue to them. They're going to be an essential part of like what you're trying to do by ways of your team.
Yeah.
The elite coach is the one that takes the roster that is assembled. Now, understand this. Some people, very, very few people are both. And I say that because you have to put on 2 different hats if you are elite at both.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to evaluate talent, get that young person to your campus. But then you have to be like player development in baseball. You can't care how much you paid for them. You got to take what you got in front of you and make them better.
Mm-hmm.
The walk-on kid and the full scholarship kid all have to increase by levels.
Yeah.
Right? One kid you are coaching your butt off to score 2 points at the conference meet. That y'all are on a mission.
Yeah.
The other kid, you're trying to score 6 points at the national meet or more.
Yeah.
And I think that to, I believe, Clyde's point, they're 2 very variant and somewhat different skill sets. Right? But I think you have to have at least one of those or else you can't be successful in this business. If you have both, you usually can, like, you'll never be without a job.
Mm-hmm.
But without question, the skill set necessary to be an elite recruiter is very, very different than the skill set necessary to be an elite multiple level changing coach, and vice versa. I think for me, one of the telltale signs of an elite recruiter is they get kids that come for visits and they assign some of kids that quote unquote don't belong wherever they are.
Yeah.
And if you're at a Power 5 school, their kid, like, you beat another Power 5 school that was the quote unquote obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, sometimes over the course of the year, you can see a roster that you're like, man, somebody over there is recruiting their butt off because there's a bunch of kids at that school. Like, look, I'm going to pick one. Eric Jenkins's roster that showed up to the meet last year, the first round. Yes, there was some great coaching going on there, but there was also some really talented kids in a USF jersey that weren't in that same USF jersey like 3 years prior. Right? So there was some elite level recruiting going on there too.
Yeah.
And so I think that understanding the variant and very different skills necessary for those 2 things to new head coaches is something that you need to understand when you're assembling your staff. You better have at least one elite coach and at least one elite recruiter on your staff, or else you're not going to be any good.
Right.
If you've got multiples of that, that's great. But you better have at least one of each, because otherwise you're just throwing money at kids and praying.
Yeah.
So I think that, real quick, sorry.
It was your turn.
That there are similar characteristics in both, but how they present are different. I think the ability to recognize and all of those things and the attention to detail are present in both, but I think the recruiters are looking more at the package and the coaches are looking for the single point, right? So I think that you have to, in both aspects, be able to communicate, find the draws, know when to press, when to pull back, hear the secret words or the secret messages that they were talking about in both scenarios, and play to those. Now, I do think that recruiters have to play to more players in regards to families in that process. And I think that coaches have to play to not only the athlete that's directed to, but those who fall around them. So you gotta get them to buy in too. So, I mean, I said what I said in the beginning. Those two don't necessarily exist in the same person, but they can. And one may be underdeveloped, like in an athlete. And they just have to get into an environment where they have to develop it. And that's where I think some of us don't get, is they don't get to a place where one has to develop more.
Mhm.
So
I think an elite recruiter in recruiting elite kids is also recruiting elite recruiters.
Yes.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's painstaking. If you are starting from the ground up, if you are, let's just say you've inherited a program that's fallen on hard times, okay? The amount of patience that an elite recruiter has to take with the group that she or he has inherited, to be patient with that and to start the rebuilding process, and knowing the individuals that he or she is now bringing in are the ones that are going to start to bring in
Wave.
the others,
Yeah.
right? And that is, I mean, that's art, man. I think, and you can look around the country at those programs and those individuals that have done that and have brought in individuals, and it's become reciprocal. And to
Mm-hmm.
get to a point where a coach brings in a group of individuals on a visit, but by the time that visit is over, that recruiter knows,
Yep. A sift.
nah, not
Mm-hmm.
gonna work.
Yep.
Hey, Joey, come over here. What do you think? Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's part of the deal,
Yep.
Yep.
right? In a track and field setting, it
You
is
got to be willing to walk away from the house.
integral. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's elitism when it comes to, does the kid fit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
More
You know,
important.
it's very important.
I would say to just drive home that point, the elite recruiter has to have an incredibly keen eye and pulse on how we do things here and who and what will be successful here.
Right.
And even if the person has the marks, is willing to tell that person, nope,
Yeah.
you don't fit with what we're going to do or where we're going. So therefore, it's not that you're not good enough, but you're just not like you are a perfect circle and we need a square. And it
elite.
just, an elite recruiter will walk away from that kid because they're like, if I found you,
Yeah.
I will find another.
Yeah. An elite recruiter could be at 3 different places and have 3 different philosophies
Mm-hmm.
based on where they are.
You have
Mm-hmm.
to. You
Yeah.
have to adjust
For sure.
to the situation that you are in.
You're in.
I think I'm glad we got to this because I think that sometimes, assistant coaches, let's be honest, assistant coaches complain a lot, right? Like we've all been them and we're all around groups of assistant coaches that complain. And I think the funny thing is like sometimes the biggest complaint is like, I don't get any money. But I think those assistants lose an opportunity to truly hone their skills, right? The best recruiting is done without money.
Mm-hmm.
How can you add value if you don't have money in your group? Can you still show up to the meet with athletes that the head coach will say, well, damn, right? Because that is a skill. And it is the most rapid way as a young coach to get money put in your group.
Yeah.
Is to bring value with your ability to find talent
which
without money.
which is why I will always maintain, and unfortunately, a lot of us at Division I might have to learn this reality sooner than we think. Some of the best recruiters in the country are at Division III because they have to be.
Sure.
You have no resources helping you land these athletes. You got to get out there and make them believe in whatever it is that you are offering at your place with no finances.
When I was a head coach, I would always force feed this message across to my staff. I want you to recruit as hard as you can till we run out of money, and then I want you to recruit harder. Make every recruit within 150-mile radius of this campus that can do it, make them tell you no twice before you move on.
Yeah.
Right? You have to cauterize those skills because to KST's point, like some people just really don't take no very well. And at the end of the day, if you're going to be successful in this business or any, no can't always be a deal stopper, and no certainly can't stop you from doing what you're trying to do.
I mean, I some of the craziest conversations I've had with recruits center around, the kid coming, calling me or saying, "Hey, I've decided I'm going to come to your place," and in the same breath, I told Coach X that I'm not going, and that coach cussed me out, and I'm going, "What?"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Coach, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I'm going, "That's happening?" Like,
And it's
really?
crazy that it's happening in a portal world when we all know 85% of these kids are rebounding. 85% of these kids are not
Yes.
going to be recruited by a school, sign to go to that school, and be there for 4 years and get a degree. That number might be low. It might be closer to 90, but it's at least 85% of the kids are going to transfer at some point.
Yep.
Because honestly, let's just be honest, it's hard to have 4 good years in a row.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, keep getting better. Keep being uncomfortable.
And listen, I want people to pay attention to what she just said, because like I'm telling you, like sometimes people think they can only be prosperous when they have prosperity. Sometimes when you get to be the best is when you have the least. That is when you get to hone skills and put things in your toolbox that weren't there that you're gonna need later.
Absolutely. All right, so let's really educate you on some stuff right now. NFL and CFP. What are we picking? Let's really educate you. The important stuff.
Oh,
as they
we're
say,
really
that
doing this, huh? We're cranking
the
through
rest
all
of that was
these?
bullcorn.
Oh
No,
yeah.
We're just. What do you mean all of these?
It ain't even
prepared to give. I am prepared to give you who is playing and who is going to win the last game. That is what I'm prepared for.
All right.
So we ain't got to go there. We just the games that are in front of us starting tomorrow.
Oh,
Okay.
mother F. Okay, hold on.
You got to stretch it out, Chewy. That's why
No
you
way.
want playoffs, so we can keep coming back
Playoffs.
for the playoffs.
All right, so we got 4 games in college this week, right?
2 games,
2
14.
games.
Oh, we're down to 4. That's right. Yeah, we did.
Final 4, baby.
Hold on.
So we got Texas is playing Ohio State indoors at Jerry World.
Yep.
Can I tell you how different it would be if that game was actually at the Cotton Bowl, which is outside?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, listen, that whole spectacle is nonsense.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, Texas is getting a home game indoors at the Cotton Bowl, which we all know ain't the damn Cotton Bowl.
No.
Like, just call it something else and stop lying to people. But we're not here for that. Who's going to win the game?
Listen, maybe y'all can tell me different. It took me a while to be on this wagon, and I'm still not on the bandwagon. But at this point, I think the Ohio State kids have taken it personal that people wanted Ryan Day fired.
Oh yeah.
And so I think they have taken a us versus the world mentality, and they plan on punching Texas square in the face. And I'm probably here for it, to be honest. So I got Ohio State in that one for sure.
I will say of all things football that go on this weekend, the only thing I actually want
is for Ohio State to beat Texas.
Is for Texas to lose.
Oh, Lord.
Should have lost the last game. Props to Arizona State. 4th and 13.
Listen, I will tell you what, there's a lot of weird stuff about that game. Like them not being able to play defense all of a sudden on 4th and 13. Us finding out this truly obscure rule that is actually an issue, right? Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
So the field goal got blocked, and then it bounced over the –
Yes.
That's actually a field goal.
Right? Yes, it is. Which would mean there should have never been no overtime.
Right, the game's over. Mm-hmm. And so obviously the NCAA is not going to scrub the result, but they're going to do one of those NFL Tuesday things like, my bad, this is actually what it should have been.
Oh, yeah. The interference, the targeting. Listen, I'm going to just say this. I know we're driving the governor crazy. Listen, I don't even particularly like the targeting rule. But if that ain't targeting, then nothing is.
Listen, I said this to y'all during the game. If you go back and watch the end of the Cal-Miami game, the exact same hit happened. The announcers all said, this is by definition targeting. And they got the phone call from the booth, from the ACC headquarters, like, yo, we need Miami to stay undefeated, and there was no targeting call. I don't know if this nefarious phone call happened in this particular case. It sure seems like it could have, but I know this much. If that's not targeting, there is no targeting.
So, yes.
Okay.
So, Texas.
I see. We got 2 horns down. What we got here, Coach?
Big league?
Oh, I'm taking Ohio State. I've drank the juice.
Okay.
Didn't think I would ever say that, but
I'm going for Texas for the win.
All right, noted.
Moving on.
Moving on.
To the Legacy Bowl.
Mm-hmm. To the Black Coaches Coronation Bowl.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
One way or another, we're winning.
Yes.
So I'll go first, and I'll say it like this. It is so hard for me to root for Notre Dame, but it is impossible for me not to root for Marcus Freeman because I know him. I know what kind of human being he is. And if I had a child that played football, I would have zero issues sending my child to go play for Marcus Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, Marcus is crazy in all the good ways, right? He does embarrassing dances on the sidelines because it makes his guys fired up. Like, he's so into the game, he's almost a fan with a headset on. So, like, nobody can really lose as far as the culture is concerned in this one. I'll be honest, but this is the perfect scenario for me would be the Notre Dame wins, and then somebody else comes and hires James Franklin so that Penn State can reap what they sow for always talking so bad about that guy, because they can't do better. I'm telling you, if James Franklin leaves Penn State, pick the coach you want to replace him. They will not do better.
See, okay. I'm glad you got there, because in my entire life of paying attention to college football, I can't stand Notre Dame and I can't stand Penn State.
Fair. I'm right there with you. Not a fan of either school.
But I am a huge fan of both of these men. And I won't go down my long path with this. I'll just simply say, in a world where so many people seem to be ignorantly choosing who they root for by race, you might want to care about all the black coaches. Because these two men are professional, lifelong grinders. They have done so many things and got through so many obstacles to land in this moment. And that's why I say, no matter who wins, it's good for us. And so I don't really care who wins the game, but I feel like there will be more people pissed off if Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman win the game. So I am here for Notre Dame to advance.
Yeah. It will be crazy how they come for James Franklin if Penn State loses, though.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've been coming for him forever.
They've been coming for that man for forever.
Hell, after the Northern Illinois loss, they was calling for the head of Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just call it what it is. He was fired after that game. It was just it was going to wait till the end of the season because Notre Dame doesn't fire coaches in the middle of the season.
Right.
Now he's about to sign a 10-year extension for $1 billion. Big league?
I've got Notre Dame as well.
All right. Well, we're all on the Marcus Freeman train.
Hold on, KST didn't
I
give
was
us.
gonna say we've got one more.
Governor didn't give us a pick yet. Now,
say it. Say it with your chest.
So I had to go look something up here. What do you think the line is?
Oh,
Notre Dame is slightly favored.
It's like Notre Dame 2.5.
Let's see. You said 2.5?
That's my guess.
no.
Nope.
Oh, it must be more than
Notre Dame opened as a 1.5 favorite.
Oh,
1.5.
so
Yep.
it's a pick'em game.
And it's since increased to -2.5.
So I'm right.
You're right.
Oh, what I'm looking at right now says 1.5.
But they're
It's
all of that's a
2.5.
pick'em. If it's less than 3, it's just, the
Yeah.
money's moving it back and forth. It's a pick'em game.
I'm going Penn State. Even
All
though
right.
I want Notre Dame, I'm going Penn State.
All right.
All
I
right.
will say the Notre Dame QB struggles to throw the ball.
Yes.
Hello. Neither one of these offenses are anything that anybody should do at home. But both of these defenses are full of dudes that are going to be impact players
Absolutely.
in the NFL.
And
There's 12 guys on defense in those two rosters that are going to start in the NFL next year.
So I'm picking it from the standpoint that Penn State's D is going to be better than Notre Dame's D. That's the way I'm looking at it.
So you're rating D's now?
Now see. I was just gonna
pause.
I was just gonna let that go.
Huge pause.
Easy. He just had to get into that.
Oh,
But
Lord.
before we move on to the professionals, I just need to say, again, for all the people that are complaining about the playoff, take a breath and realize that without the first legitimate postseason in NCAA football history that we are currently in the middle of, the national championship game would have been Oregon versus Georgia, and either way, the winner would have been fraudulent.
Yep.
This is why you have a playoff. This is a legitimate championship.
Yep.
Enjoy reality because we've been spoon-fed lies forever.
Yep. Playing is always better.
Oh, jeez. All right. In order of playing time,
Yes.
Ooh, I
we've
like
got
it. Okay.
the Chargers versus the Texans.
Chargers.
This is so unfair because the Chargers are playing the ghost of the Texans.
Hey.
Well, that sucks for them.
I mean,
we lost him.
Oh, I bet you his phone died. Oh well, moving on.
I think the
So-
Texans have backed their way into the playoffs for sure.
They're not the only ones that back their way in.
Yeah.
And while we're trying to delay time for the EP to find his way back, can I throw y'all my ultimate, like what everybody, I don't care who your favorite team in the NFL is, what everybody should be rooting for in these playoffs? You should be rooting for the Chargers and the Rams to keep winning. Because
Oh my goodness.
you've heard about
do.
this, huh?
There's a
Yeah.
scenario
Yes.
where the Chargers and the Rams would have
Yes.
to be hosting
Yes.
a playoff game
On the same day.
on the same day. I am here
Back-to-back
for
games.
that.
That
I
is
don't
15
horrible.
and the schedule has them. It's 15 minutes in between the games.
Right. I
yeah.
want that to happen
Can
above
you imagine
all
that,
other
Big League?
things.
No.
I don't care.
I
how
want
we
the
do it.
NFL to have to put out neutral end zones just for
Yeah.
that reason.
Just
They
for
have a
that
neutral.
reason.
I just want to see them twist themselves into a knot over that.
Like they wouldn't be able to print anything in the end zones.
No.
It'll just be
So
It'll be the NFL logo.
yeah.
I'm really hoping that somehow, some way we land in that scenario, although I don't believe it's going to happen. But yes,
No,
Chargers for the win over the Texans,
Jeez.
or the ghost of them, as Same was in the middle of saying.
All right. 7 o'clock game, 7 o'clock
Mhm.
Central. You got Steelers versus the Ravens.
It's Ravens win
Yeah.
going away.
The Ravens better win,
Yes.
because as much as I love Lamar Jackson, and I do, my G, you can't fumble this one. Like
No.
you
So-
better get this one done at least. This
I
is the
know-
one.
I know y'all can't see my face, and that's okay because y'all can hear my voice. I'm going to bet money on the Ravens, but I am telling y'all with everything that is in my inner being, my gut
Oh boy.
says that the Steelers and Tomlin have a rabbit's foot, like voodoo hex over Lamar.
I mean, it's on tape.
And I believe, I know the game is in Baltimore, which is problematic for sure. But there is something seriously that won't go away. I've been trying to shun this feeling for 4 days. Everything in my gut says the Steelers are going to win this game. Like I said, I'm not betting with my gut. I'm betting with my brain. My brain says put money on the Ravens, so that's what I'm going to do. But my gut says I will be 0% surprised when the Steelers win this game.
Sir, if you watch football, you know that
Mm-hmm.
90% of the time the Steelers outplay Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Like, that wouldn't be that's why I'm saying, I'm like, bro,
Mike
better
Tomlin
get this done.
and Russell Wilson are at their very best when everybody thinks that they're going to lose. That's when
Yes.
those two people have proven that's when they are at their best.
Yes.
The line is 10.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a blowout.
Yeah.
Steelers done lost 4 games in a row. There's no reason that they're supposed to be close. And it needs to go that way.
All right.
If George Pickens, if the good George Pickens, because there's clearly a bipolar deal there. If the good George Pickens shows up, the Steelers are going to win that game.
I really hope that Lamar doesn't have to live through that.
I mean, the Steelers beat the Ravens already once this year.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Brother, I know.
All right. We beat it up.
Okay. Denver at Buffalo.
I think in the hood vernacular, that would be like, boy, stop. Ain't no way.
Ain't no way. No.
There's not a scenario I can paint on this planet that Denver wins that game.
Exactly.
Listen, Denver's had a great season.
They
You can argue that Sean Payton is the coach of the year,
slow
given
clap.
that half of their salary, half of their salary is paying for the Steelers quarterback.
Yep.
Like, great season, but
Yeah.
Exit stage left. Thank you very
Bill.
much.
They get the
right.
parting gifts from Don Pardo for sure.
That is unanimous. All right. At 3:30, we will watch Green Bay play in Philly.
Probably the best game of the weekend.
That is the one right there. That is the one.
And let's put this out there right now. The Eagles quarterback has not passed through concussion protocol
No,
yet.
he's not.
And I'm telling you this is from a betting perspective. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play in that game, the Eagles lose that game.
They're going to lose that game.
Write it down.
Yep.
I will say this. The better quarterback plays for the Packers.
Mm.
The better coach coaches for the Packers.
Yep.
Now, the better roster ain't even close. It's
Right.
Philly.
Yes.
But, you know, the petty gods here, Sirianni's kind of a clown, and y'all didn't let Saquon go get his record, and A.J. Brown is malcontentious. Like, ain't no telling how this game is going to go. I hope for Philly's sake that they win it. I think they will win it. But kind of like the Lamar thing for very different reasons. Oh, my God, if they don't. Like, Sirianni will be fired in the building if they lose this game.
The Packers are 12-5. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so I need everybody to understand this. The Packers are 12-0 against NFL teams that don't have 14 or more wins this year.
Mm-hmm.
That is also correct.
They have
And
only lost.
The line is 4.5. Go figure.
Only lost to the three best teams in the NFL.
Yep.
I'm picking the Packers.
I'm picking the Packers as well. I mean, not that it's any sample size what they did to Dallas.
Yeah, no.
Nah. But still,
I understand.
But still, they walked into
all of Cowboy Nation is rooting for Green Bay to do the same. I get it.
Now I will say this. There is one big issue for the Packers. Christian Watson tore his ACL again.
Yes.
So they don't have one of their really, really important weapons.
Big weapon, yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like LaFleur will figure that out.
That's what he gets paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. At 7:00, we will watch Washington at Tampa Bay.
Wait, Big League, who'd you pick?
The Packers.
Okay.
So I'm the only one on the Eagles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just don't like the Eagles, so.
What we got on this next one? Who we playing? Who's playing?
Commanders versus the Bucks.
The sling it all over the field bowl.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I like Jaden Daniels, and I'll be rooting for the Washington football team. I refuse to acknowledge that whack nickname they don't have. But listen, man, as a certified member of the original Baker Mayfield hater club, you have to respect the way that Baker has played in Tampa Bay.
Listen,
he's done a very good
version of Baker is
Baker's dangerous.
He's elite at this point.
Yeah, no, listen, he's a legitimate, like, he made the Pro Bowl, or he should have. And that's my issue. Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year, yes. Pro Bowl over Baker? No.
Yeah,
and
no.
You know Baker knows it, and you know he's pissed about it, and they're coming to Tampa Bay. I'm taking the Bucks.
But can I just say this real quick as an aside? Like, damn the game. Mike Evans against Lattimore.
That's right.
Oh yeah, all of that.
That fight is going to be far better than Tyson and old boy. Somebody's getting ejected from this game.
I've got the Commanders winning this game in a close one.
Where's the game?
Tampa.
It's at Tampa. And I think Jaden Daniels is the difference.
Oh, he will have to be.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I think at some point in time, there tends to be a rookie moment in the playoffs for even superstar elite rookies. And This game is really, really close. I'm going to pick Tampa, honestly, because they're home and because Jaden Daniels is a rookie. But I think there's going to be some absolute fireworks in this game.
Oh,
Score this game might be 62-60.
Hmm.
And there's one left, yes?
Yes.
Who did Big League pick?
Oh.
I'm just gonna go with the Bucks. I don't have a call for it. That's where my eyes landed on that one.
She's like, what the buck?
The Vikings versus the Rams.
I think the Vikings are cooked. I think
Wow.
I think the Vikings.
Wow.
Listen, I like the Vikings. I'm actually a Sam Darnold fan. Super proud of his season, but they went into Detroit, legitimately attempted to win that game, and got destroyed.
But they got destroyed by the best team in the NFL.
Sure, but walking in there, they legitimately thought that they could win it, and they looked deflated by the middle of the third quarter. Like, it was bad. Now they're
Because
going to
they're
get on a plane.
playing against the best offense currently on this
Uh-huh.
planet.
But that defense is missing 10 starters and shut them down completely. And Sam Darnold reverted back to why he was been on 3 teams. Now you're asking them to go all the way to LA and deal with Sean McVay. And again, the best coach and the best quarterback are on the Rams. So I think they're cooked.
Oh, I'm definitely picking the Vikings, and I think that there might not be anything more overrated in the NFL than Sean McVay.
Well, isn't O'Connell a McVay disciple?
Listen, O'Connell is the real damn deal. And again, I'm just not going to believe that a team that's won 14 games is going to go in and lay an egg playing that Rams team.
All right.
That's just me. What you got, you two?
I've got the Vikings.
Governor, what say ye?
I've
You're
got the
muted.
Vikings
Oh,
as
you're not
well.
muted. Oh, got it.
See? There you go, Clyde. You're the only one on the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Again, emotional letdowns are tough to bounce back from.
Fair. It is crazy that they won 14 games and they have to play every game on the road from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So we'll see. We'll see how football plays out this weekend. So good thing Texas has no school, so I can be prepared and rested to watch all of this football. So good times. North Texas, anyways. North Texas. To wrap up the show, we had a pretty what's the word I want to give it?
Monumental.
Thank you. I couldn't think of it. Monumental event happened in the last few days. Ralph Mann passed away. It's monumental because if you don't realize it, all of you have the book. And if you don't have the book, you've been looking for the book. And if you don't looking for the book, you can get it. But it's a book that everyone should have, and you should look at it often, if not all the time, as your reference point. He was more than just the book, obviously, but very, very, very much a integral part of success. Obviously for Team USA, but for other teams as well. When Team USA decided not to value his success or his input. So I definitely think that Clyde has some input on that, but I'm sure everybody else does as well. But we definitely did not want to skip that moment to lift up his name and recognize who he is in the sport and just recognize, though you are not here with us, you will always be with us, because the principles that you have allowed us to understand will be carried forward for sure.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that has something to say, by all means, say what you want. I'll try to get through this. You know, man, Ralph was just so many things to so many people. He was ahead of his time in his work and his contributions to our sport globally. Um, r- so many people, athletes, coaches, administrators in this business owe a big piece of their success to Ralph Mann. And I don't think I know the general populace doesn't know that because they're, fans and spectators, and they wouldn't know that. But we know that. And somehow I feel like he was amazingly underappreciated at so many levels. And that's unfortunate. I, to put a personal note on it, Ralph was one of the first people in this business to really value me and to see me. And as a young coach, to be invited into rooms that the majority of the people in that room probably didn't think I belonged, but Ralph knew that I did and made sure that I was there, helped me so much. And I miss him. I will always miss him. Ralph, I'm the petty king. Ralph was just as petty as I will ever be, and I loved him for it. Ralph was hilarious. Ralph was funny. He would always tell you the truth, and he challenged all of us to put our egos from the side and to focus on the realities that science and physics were presenting in front of you. You didn't have to like it, but it's right there. And he was just invaluable. Whatever else I accomplished in my career, the fact that that man saw fit to put my name in this book as somebody he valued, I will cherish forever. I miss you. We love you. And I'm just so glad that he got to meet my son.
I'm just so glad y'all can't see my face right now.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'll be quick and as painless as I can be. The best way I can put it is the truth in a story. The truth is that we value analytics more than any other sport, and that they're just now getting to analytical places that we've been for years. And all of that is relevant because Ralph Mann is the definition and the reason that we value analytics in the sport of track and field. Like, he was literally the industry standard on analytical analysis of athletic movements in the sport of track and field, and subsequently many other sports. My story is one of my favorite Ralph Mann moments. If you've ever been to any of those, conferences and things, Ralph has he would have a stick figure of the model, right? And the model would be doing these things. And one time, Ralph had the model and Angelo Taylor, the year that he ran, I think 47-49 or whatever from lane one to win the Olympics. And they both, the model and Angelo ran, and, like everything else, you're always watching to see what happens. And at the very end, Angelo runs by the model. So some young person smartly noticed this and said, well, how can that be, Ralph, if the model is perfect? Like, how is it that Angelo beat the model? And Ralph cleared his throat and said very succinctly, well, obviously the model was tired and Angelo was not. That is Ralph Mann.
Yeah. I never really got to meet Ralph Mann. I watched him work. When I was at Texas, he did some work I know with Courtney Okolo, the year that she broke the NCAA record. And I know that he was definitely close to Tanja. Um, I don't know that I don't know the um like who was privy enough to have Ralph show up at their track to do work, but I know that they were whoever these individuals were and whatever track it was, he did amazing work. And um, and I was able to admire from a distance. And somewhere down the line, I'm sure I was touched by, you know, some of his input from the biomechanic standpoint. I just probably was not it wasn't a direct type deal. But I know that he is going to be missed, and I know that his work will be cherished. And I think in this sport, the best compliment that anyone can be paid is that their work carries on. Their the whatever it is that they brought to the sport is carried on some way, some form. Whether it's, from an angle standpoint, shapes, how you put together your race, all of that. Um, he was integral to the success of a lot of the top athletes that you see today. And so these athletes, the best thing that they can do is continue to go wreck shop, you know. Um, so RIP to a great human being.
Crazy. So, on that note, best wishes to everyone competing this weekend. Travel safe, have fun, achieve your goals that are set out for you. Not that the athletes are watching this, but if you are, for the coaches, achieve your goals. Do that. But other than that, everyone have a great week, and we'll see each other again soon. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.